Hello, welcome back to Rev Endurance Sports, and we'll file this under Training 101. I had an interesting conversation with a customer this morning, and I thought, why don't I share part of that conversation and then add some more detail to our discussion here. So I have this gentleman who came to me last year, and I've been working on his bike every now and then. And he asked me, how can I get faster? And that is a very big topic. But do you know what my very next question was? How often are you riding? And that's the thing, because there's no substitute for time in the saddle. And he said once a week on Saturdays. Now, I understand that people have families, work, maybe the kids need to be every Saturday and Sunday morning. They need to be here and there, sports and play dates and all that stuff. And then maybe you work some crazy hours or whatever. So I understand that. So just realize that this is a theoretical discussion. All right. So the first question was, how many times a week do you ride? And his answer was once on Saturdays. The distance, 10 to 12 miles with someone, which was the second part of this question. Who are you riding with? Because I know when he came out to our rides on Wednesday night, he was getting dropped pretty badly, typically in the first hill or two. So first, how often are you riding? And then who are you riding with? Because as you know, if you ride with other cyclists, or if you ride with other cyclists, one, that obviously helps you to improve, makes you ride harder. And then not only if you ride with other people, but who are the people you're riding with, right? Because, some people might even be slower than you. So you're the big fish. So how often are you riding, and who are you riding with? So if you're only riding once a week, you just can't expect to make any gains. So let's really just talk about generalities. Okay? These are very generalized statements, and your mileage may vary. I suggest, at a minimum, you should be riding 3 times a week. And I believe that it's far more important to spread those 3 days a week, or those 3 rides throughout the week. And here's what I mean by that. I think it's more important for you to have, like, let's say a midweek ride, like a Wednesday, something like that, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, or a Thursday. I think if you can only ride Saturday and Sunday, that's it. That's when you can ride. But I think it's far more important to, let's say, and this is a schedule you can alter for your own lifestyle. You ride a day, you have a rest day, you ride another day, you have a rest day, and then you ride another day, right? Or something like that, or maybe 2 rest days here and there. But you're trying to ride a minimum of 3 times a week. That is my suggestion, and that's a minimum. The distance doesn't really matter, I don't think, either. I think what happens is we do this longer ride on Saturday or Sunday, and then we don't do anything for another 6-7 days. So whatever fitness you were trying to gain, you're going to lose it during the week. And, to gain fitness, you put the body under stress, and then you recover. So there is the opportunity of too much rest, right? Because rest is when your body recovers from the stress that you gave it. But if you give it too many rest days, well, then your fitness starts to decline. Furthermore, it's my opinion that the red line capability, when you're really huffing and puffing, that goes away quick. So you may gain some endurance from riding, maybe once or twice a week, but that top end ability is very hard to keep if you're only riding once or twice a week. To give you a little bit of history of my riding, back in 2003 or so, I started putting in some really, really heavy miles. Most of the stuff I was reading is, it takes you 3 to 5 years to get really, really good endurance. And I was going after 200-mile events and 500-mile events. And so the first 2 years that I was riding, I was disciplined to get 15,000 miles a year. And that fitness just continued to carry throughout the rest of the years that I was doing endurance riding. So that's a lot of miles. I live in Southern California. Weather permits a lot of riding here, but just so you know. And I think also, I think when you first start riding, you have these big gains because you might have been a couch potato, or you might have been a runner and you switch over to cycling. And so you make these big gains when you're only riding on a Saturday. And you get these big gains and you're like, oh, well, I only have to ride once a week because look how much I'm improving. I used to do 10 miles and 15 miles, now 30 and so on. But there's a point where when you start from zero, you make these big gains, but then you'll plateau. And at that point, that's when I suggest that more frequency, and even if you can get out for shorter distances, maybe a little bit more intense, or maybe, you do focus on that endurance side of things, but you need more time on the bike. There is an axiom that's out there, and it basically says there's no substitute for saddle time. You have to put in the work. And I have plenty of these little sayings that I tell people all the time. And one of the sayings is, most people don't like to suffer. They don't. They think it's, it's fun to ride a bike, and that's great. But if you're training and you have a goal, and in this particular situation, this customer of mine wants to do triathlons. So he has a goal. He wants to train. He wants to get faster, and he wants to place well in these triathlons, a shorter distance, because he doesn't get a chance to ride much or do the other sports, the swimming and the running. So consistency. The next thing that I wish to talk to you about, and as I mentioned, that midweek ride is very important. But I think some people are just naturally gifted. That is debatable. Some people think you can train it, and I believe some people are just genetically gifted. I've known athletes and cyclists that they don't ride a couple of weeks, maybe longer. They show up to a group ride and they just slaughter everybody. They're just that good. But people like me, we have to train. We have to be disciplined enough to carve out a piece of the day, train, ride your bike, run, swim, paddleboard, whatever it is that you do. You have to carve out a part of your day. And I suggest you do that first. You look at your schedule and you say, when can I ride? Okay, I can ride this day, this day, this day. And nothing interferes with that block of time. And that, of course, is in an ideal world, but that's what I suggest. So my question for you is, when did you notice that a big difference happened for you? Was it after twice a week, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times a week? At what point did you finally figure out that, you know what? I'm actually making some gains. I'm keeping up with the group ride on Saturday. I'm keeping up with my nemesis that I ride with, maybe on a one-on-one basis. Or, wow, that hill used to kick my butt, and now I feel great once I summit this hill. So was it at twice a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, 5 times a week? That's the question I have for you. So put a comment down below. When did you notice that difference happen for you? And, I've done many time frames of training blocks, 6, 7, 8 days, 9 days in a row. A few years back when I was when I was going for 1,000,000 feet in a year, I was just doing shorter rides and, 3 or 4,000 feet every day, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days in a row. But I wasn't doing a big, massive ride on a Saturday or a Sunday. And I was just ticking away at these, at the 1,000,000 feet that I needed for the year. So that's all for today. I want to get a discussion going down below. Please make some comments. I'm curious what it is that works for you. And please like and subscribe. And in the meantime, we'll see you up the road.